Oseo,
Oseo,
and Anam Kara,
and Anam Kara.
Irish greeting. Right off, we want to remember the late Gina Dickinson. She moved over to the other side quite recently. Um, her grandmother was a native of the country of Ireland, so that's why I used that line. She moved over to the other side. She and her husband and her son Ian, Richard and Ian, they have supported our Celtic ensemble for the past 25 years. And Richard Dickinson, he had one time been a sound man for a Jethro Tull rock band, I think in the 60s, 70s. And he was our principal engineer and sound man when we were performing there a few years ago. So we want to remember them. Her birthday would have been yesterday. And now another person that we always remember at this time in July is Shani Carlisle. Now Shani Carlisle is, as we have right there, our friend and mentor. We are also the Celtic Ensemble, and we have been the Celtic Ensemble for a long time. And we had started as the Rowan Tree in the House of Ireland. And Shani came to us, and he is a Gaelic speaker, a native of the Isle of Lewis. And so we were able to learn a lot of Gaelic translations and songs, and then also he brought me into something that is very ethnic and very ancient, and that is the lineage of knowledge that is usually attributed to the Druids. And so I had learned very, very much about that, and that's part of what I'm doing here. Besides being Shani Carlisle, he is also the Dagda, or the father, and that from time to time he bodies forth from the matrix, and that is comes among us, and he lives among us and gives us knowledge, and he returns there to Shinar. Shinar, we call that, is the underworld, or the ancient land, more properly. And there he furnishes that ancient place with the spores of ourselves that he has gathered while he was among us. In the Navajo, who has assimilated much of our Celtic culture, he is Yebeche. So he is also the grandfather in that. And all of that I'm presenting today is to say that here we are in the ancient Celtic world. Now, this subject has been studied for quite at least the last 40 years, I would say. One of them here, this is Celtic America, which, as the title suggests, the research, studies, decipherments, translations, and so forth. This is one of the principal books, but not the only one. That is evidence that Celtic people, Gaelic-speaking people, have been here in Turtle Island for a very, very long time. And what I'm presenting today is one of those pieces in the form of, we call a petroglyph. So, Celtic America here. But to start off, I want to do a piece for Shani. This is an incantation for Shani. I am an incarnate spirit from the mysterious deep. Invoke then, people of the sea, invoke the poet, that he may compose a spell for you. For I, the Druid, who sets out the letters in Ogham, I who part the warriors in battle, I will approach the Ra of the She, seeking a cunning poet's so that together we may concoct good incantations, for I am a wind of the sea. This is a quinuchan for Shani, a memorial, a token of respect and gratitude. May the blessings of Jie attend you. And those are actually Shani's words. So the druid is, the name druid is a Latin pronunciation. There are others. I think probably the most native is drug, and I think the word dragon has come from drug, because it also seems to have something to do with fire. But what it really embodies is knowledge. Yulas is knowledge. Now in the pantheon, is the way I can start out, there is first the Great Mother, and the Great Mother's firstborn is the Dagda, in this case, Shani. And then the son of him is, what was his name?
Agnes.
Angus. Yeah, Angus, and then the son of him is Wogma, and the son of him is Lug. And these are lineages kind of like a bamboo shoot, one coming out of the other. And Ogma, his grandson, is the one that's going to be featured here in my representation. I'll go to that. Here, this painting here is my exact replication that is carved, we can put that right, in rock in the area of Ridgecrest there in eastern California. They call it Little Petroglyph Canyon or Big Petroglyph Canyon. There are thousands of petroglyphs there. And some of them, if not many of them, are definitely Celtic. And that's what this is. And this one embodies all of the Celtic life principle, I would say. And the main character here is going to be Ogma here. Now Ogma is short for Ogma Gran, meaning he is the son of Gran, who is the sun here. And he looked into her, and in looking into her he saw her eyelashes. And in seeing her eyelashes, from that he learned how to devise the system of writing in Celtic called Oyam. Just Ogma is all the same. It's the same as augment. And so that's where it started. And so in this piece here, you're looking up here, her reward to Ogma was her golden eyelash. And that sets off the name of the whole piece in Gaelic. Lasir na Lochranalid, flame of the resplendent lamp, is now the title of this. Islom an suir gun and rosak, naked is the eye that wants an eyelash. That sounds very Celtic, doesn't it? And so that's where all this begins. And we go right to the head here. This head is, like we would call it, a maze. And it has a definite sequence. So here is the center, and here you enter into the third ring, and it goes around this way up to 2, and then it goes around this way up to 1, and then the 1 goes around until it comes to the 4, and then the 4 goes around until it comes to the 7, and then the 7 goes around until it comes to the 6, and the 6 goes around until it comes to the 5, and the 5 comes into the 8, and the 8 is the mother, and that is called the Tour. In the British Isles, there is a hill that is a big hill like right now surmounted by St. Michael's Church, but it was originally carved in this form. One side of the mountain has kind of weathered away, but basically that's what it is, and the later people have done everything to obscure it and so forth. Anyway, that's what we can see that begin here. We were on a tour over there in the little Petroglyph Canyon, and the docent there, he wanted me to see a piece. So this is all much higher, and he took me up to a place there where he found exactly this same labyrinth like that. And what was amazing to him was how old it was. Not only was it very dark with patina, but the rocks had cracked. So that's what he was showing me, how old that has to be. And it's exactly the same as this one here. So this is just to show you how legible this is. Now here, these ears, as we can see here, Dwelly's a major Dwelly in ancient Scotland, 19th century. He went around and he collected all of the language, all the idiom, and that he composed our first Gaelic dictionary there. And so from that we have a lot of access. One of the things that he recorded are sheep cuts. That is, these people keep flocks of sheep, and they don't brand them like cowboys do here for cows. They cut their ears, so they're called sheep cuts. And so the sheep cut is what is actually figured here with these ears, and this is called bium. Bium is a hind bit, sheep cut, and it's lined up here with the center, so it's called biam sulis, a beam of light, a sunbeam. In Gaelic it says, "Behold, you small beam of light." So that explains this. And here in this whole body of him, these are beads, podge. Now I have to say that when I had first been able to decipher and translate all of this, what is called Moot Hill, the Druid, or the person who is, the authority in this respect, is like Judge Judy in TV, that people bring their case to her, and then she arbitrates. So that was called Moot Hill. And so that's who would be in attendance there. And that person, that judge, that druid, this is a glane, a glass egg that he wears to give him knowledge, to give him wisdom. So it would be like a lawyer. You have to pay the lawyer. So that's what originally Podge was. But after Shawnee left us and returned, to Shinar, then I actually realized the whole thing. This is called Padran. Then it's giving that your efforts are going to be rewarded, which goes all the way up here to the gift from Graham. And the whole piece is this. So these are beads, I should say, 8. 8 is the number of return, which is everything here. Everything is in terms of 8, which is all the number of return. So these are beads, 4 beads, but a bead inside a bead inside of a bead. So all of that Padran, all this is saying your efforts will be rewarded. Over here, he's holding this staff. It's a luan or salak, like that. It is a net minder. It's a net minder for making nets and making that all the nets are the same size, you would say. And that's here for that. Up above that, I have provided a net minder from Australia, people in Australia, but that's what it would look like. And here, this is Okam's name right here. This is GM. in Ogham consonant there's no vowels. So plainly you can see who that is, and he's holding this true measure. He is the true measure, and it has a lot of meaning attached to it, because now the net is full and they're now bringing in the net. So it's saying the tide is returning, the tide is coming up. All this is very active. And over here, his forearm is raised. Girachas. Girachas is rejoice. And the way he's using it here, he's welcoming Shani. So I have to go to that. Here, Shani is the horny toad. That's Megan. Megan in the ancient language means a chubby little man. It's a little bit different, but it sounds the same as the Irish use of young woman is often called Megan. So here, he is the horny toad, Megan. And he's returning to Shenar. And his grandson here is welcoming him. That's why his arm is raised like that. And what this is that this is a rod of hazelwood. Here I made one. This is out of willow. It looks the same. When you peel it, it's white. So it would be called pin mikul. Pin mikul would be the white twig like that. The difference is that in the hazel, it secretes what looks like milk. And that milk is only for the immortal. A person, a human, wouldn't want to drink it. So that's why he's suckling him. His grandson is suckling him and welcoming him to return to Shinar. Shinar is also the tour. That's what's in the center there. I have this up here because this is Melissa, ancient queen bee, or queen of the bees, because of honey. Because honey is knowledge. So we have a metaphor in that for all of this is all about knowledge. The druid, or Shani, embodies knowledge. Everything going on here is for that knowledge. And over there, there's the serpent also having, the 8 turns. Traditionally, the serpent is called the druid's friend. And that he's wearing a kilt. This is a kilt, oer, saying that he rises from the east. I have mentioned again and again that the people being called Navajo, everybody's gotten used to that name, it's a Spanish dialect for these people. Their people's name is Natene. And they are the Celtic Americans, or they have assimilated them one way or the other. There are features within their culture and their language which shows their relation with this culture here. And one of those here, these little images I've cut out here, I've copied these from the Navajo sand paintings so that you can see the resemblance of these figures, for that. All of that is to engender, to show that we do have this ancient relation here, and that people here who have originally been called Indians and like that are quite different in reality than what the English Americans have made of people. So I can go down here to this. This is a little bird. And here it's representing a wren. A wren is like a cactus wren, a rock wren, a bird called a wren. Now, in the book of Ballymote, there's what's called, the Ogham bird calendar. So it has all these letters that make up all the different birds. And here, when we're from June into July, the bird for this, and its principal bird, is the wren, which is called Druin. Druin meaning the knowledge bird, and the soul of the oak tree, and the knowledge of the trees. So that's who this is here, the knowledge bird. This character here is a she, Banshee. Beyond is beyond no Leon she, meaning she is my familiar spirit. The she are spirits, fairies, what have you. They're more defined by their location than they are in their individual. So here I thought this is a very likely looking character for a she. And again, in the Navajo, it's right out of the Irish Gaelic, Beoshiji. So they have a character they're calling Beoshiji, actually, and that means literally living she. Shiji is singular for she, plural, making sense. So that's who I have here. If we go down here to the bottom, this is a Navajo-made seed jar in the shape of the horny toad. Now the horny toad in Navajo, translated, is rock shirt. He is a rock shirt. And he is the touchstone. He is the touchstone there in that culture that keeps all of this connected and all of this alive. So they make pots, amulets, he figures in stories, he figures in sand paintings. So Rockshirt is that, and he figures very initially in the like being the midwife of changing woman, Atanailihe, when her supernatural birth on Spruce Mountain. It is Rockshirt who sees what's going on there, that he goes up there and that he actually retrieves her as a baby and brings her here, into the world, into the Hogan. So that's why I have her sand painting here. So this is just to say how in the culture we're calling Navajo, all of this is still there, whereas in Europe, all of this has disappeared totally. Even by the time that Dwelly is collecting knowledge and information, there is nobody in the 19th century in the British Isles who has any knowledge, or at least is not speaking it. And yet here, Shawnee came among us and has brought me, into the knowledge that I am relating to you in this way. Now I'm going to read a poem by Mary Oliver. Morning in a new land. Who knows what's waiting for us? In trees, still dripping night, some nameless birds woke, shook out their airy wings, and sang, slowly, like finches sifting through a dream. The pink sun fell like glass into the fields. Two chestnuts and a dapple gray, their shoulders wet with light, their dark hair streaming, climbed the hill. The last mist fell away, and in the blink of an eye, the edifice of intent invites me to enter. And under the trees, beyond time's brittle drift, I stood like Eve in her lonely garden on that first morning. Shaken out of sleep, rubbing her eyes, listening, parting the leaves like tissue on some vast, incredible gift that already the leaves have swirled over. The wind has spoken, the universal wind. That concludes. Is that a tape?